I'm a leader and I think I'm empathetic, but in reality, I'm very sympathetic. Am I stuck, or is it something that I can do? Can I gain empathy?
Yes, you can. There's a long list of many behaviors that you can practice, so that it speaks to the truth of that, fake it until you make it.
Okay.
Let me go briefly back to that idea of the fake until they make it, because I think a lot of leaders get empathy confused with coming back on the weekend and sharing all the details of their family and their activities with the team, which actually the team probably don't really need to hear all that. Or, maybe on a Thursday afternoon, they go and buy pizza for everyone and lunch, or they let someone go early because they know there's been a bit of a problem at home. They're examples. They are examples of empathy, but real empathy comes from, first of all, listening, truly listening to people. That's probably the biggest act of empathy you can give someone. Because leaders talk. They talk too much.
Yes.
And they need to listen more. Right? In the same vein, don't interrupt people. So, you just ask someone a question, and I'm sure you've seen this like I have in training situations. You've asked them a question, someone starts to talk, and someone comes immediately over and interrupts them.
That's right.
I think being very aware of your body language, so making sure the words are coming out match the body language, so you've got open body language. And where it's appropriate, obviously, depending on the situation, it's very appropriate for a man to hug another man, to give him empathy, as it is for a woman as well, with another woman. Using people's names.
Yes.
That's
a big thing with me. It always has been. I feel very uncomfortable speaking with anyone if I don't know their name, and I will ask them. And if I'm introduced to somebody and they share their name with me, if I can't recall their name, I will ask them again, and maybe 2 or 3 times. And I say, I really do apologize, but it's a loud environment. I just want to make sure I get your name right. And if they tell me and it's still a little bit, fuzzy, I might ask them for the spelling. But I'm a big fan of names. So, that's a big part of who I am as well.
But I'm utterly useless at it. And thank God I have my Rolodex as a wife. If we're in a social setting, I'll nudge next to Karen. I'll say, who's this person? But I tell you what, when I'm in a training environment, I make sure that by at least lunchtime on the first day, I know everybody's names. And the trick of course, is to look at a distinguishing attribute of the person, either their dress or their hairstyle or their colour or whether they're wearing glasses, and just associate that with the name. And I often find I often get commended at the end of a 2-day or a 3-day workshop and say, Peter, how did you get to know our names so well? I wish I could do as well in my personal life as I do in my professional life.
I'm sure you could if you adopted the same process and structure.
I'm sure. Another tip about learning to be empathetic: being fully present when you're with people.
Right. Yeah.
It's making eye contact.
Yes. Yeah.
Nodding and smiling, and it's part of the whole active listening. Not interrupting. That's
not looking at your phone and
not looking at the phone.
Multitasking. Just giving your full attention.
I don't know whether you've noticed here, but when I meet people in training rooms, a lot of people, when they shake hands with me, will not make eye contact, and they'll be looking down and they'll have their hand out like this, and
yeah,
that's just a regional thing here.
How do you feel when you experience that? How do you personally feel?
Well, initially I felt disrespected. But now I know it's just a behaviour, and it's not something that the eye contact here in this part of the world is a difficult thing. So I get that, but I've understood it now, but it kind of puts a smile on my face. Another one, giving genuine recognition and praise to people, but genuine. Not like I had a supervisor once where I worked, and he used to say to me, "Oh, great job, Peter. That's just a fantastic job." And he used to say this, once or twice a day. And then until we'd have a department meeting with everybody from the team. And then he would praise me again. And then he would add this little suffix, which was, and I really mean this. And so what I'm thinking about all the other times that a thank you was expressed, didn't mean it was just like phatic communion. Bless him. Taking a personal interest in people's lives, is another one. Just not being nosy, but just being, the way to encourage that, of course, is you share some appropriate details from your own personal life, and that will encourage others to share, because it builds trust, right? That's the intimacy part of the trust equation.
Yes, yeah, it does.
And I guess the last one I would suggest would be, and this is really, really powerful, is handwrite a letter of appreciation to someone in your organization or in your team or in your life that you kind of take for granted. They've been there, they've always been there, but without them, either your professional life or your personal life would be somehow lessened. And I use that as a technique at the end of the emotional intelligence and leadership course that I deliver for 6 seconds. And people write to me afterwards saying, wow, what a response I got from the person I gave the letter to. And I get them to actually hand the letter to the person. And so that's a really nice thing to build empathy as well. I mean, I hope I've given you some tips.
Yeah, so some amazing stuff there, Peter. I mean, really, really valuable stuff, which again, if you think about what you've just shared, how that aligns with the role as a leader generally, but how they can advance that empathetic approach to their role as a leader is really, really powerful. Thank you for sharing.
So I think that the secret there is, if you don't feel natural empathy, you can practice it through adopting some of those techniques until it does become natural.
Yeah. And again, we all have people that we need in our life to help us get to be that better version of ourselves. And this is going to require some coaching to develop some of these habits. So they become, subconscious reactions when you see somebody. You're doing all of this without going through a checklist in your mind of consciously checking it. So that requires some support. So there are people out there that would need that mechanism of support.
I would think so. I would think you'd need 2 or 3 coaching sessions with a good coach who could help you understand the importance of why you need to show true, authentic empathy to other people in your life.
My last question to you: can you be too empathetic? Can you be over empathetic?
What's to the point where the other person has taken advantage of you?
Yeah, or everything that you do is all about the people. And I know without the people, you don't have anything at all. You don't have a business. But everything that you do, if everything is done with the people, first and foremost, from an empathetic approach, do you start to look at it from a strategic approach? And sometimes strategy needs to override what you feel about the people.
Great question. We often think about empathy as being directed towards other people. But you've got to direct some empathy to yourself.
Yeah.
It's part of your self-care. So yes, if you completely surrendered yourself to other people, I guess you could become a bit of a doormat. This metaphor of the doormat, where people are just walking over you and taking advantage of you. But if you save enough empathy for yourself, that will put the brakes on that. You can still have a 90-10 approach. A lot of people, for example, in the old days, monks would go out into the world and spread their religion and live very austere lives in the service of others. It's a model which we know of, but 21st century, it's very much about me, isn't it?
It is, yeah, it is. And again, I think for you and I, we have our work cut out moving forwards from this COVID-19 crisis, because whilst there were leaders going through the challenges of, where they would previously be managing by walking around, now they're leading through a camera within their smartphones or their laptops. And there's a gap. There is a gap. And you and I have to step up to this demand to close those gaps for the benefit of growth within these situations that people are experiencing day to day.
Sure. No, I think there's from my work that I'm doing during this time, I'm finding most people are reconnecting with one another because they're working from home. So they're reconnecting with a daughter that they weren't spending much time with. They're reconnecting with older parents who they're feeling very empathetic towards because they're worried about their safety right now.
Of course, yeah.
So generally, there's been a really nice silver lining on this crisis we're going through, because in many aspects, our emotions have actually produced some happy outcomes. And yes, we're scared, but there's also been some benefits.
Yeah. Peter, it's been wonderful, as always, sharing these concepts and ideas, and, getting sort of two different perspectives from your end, from my end, and how we might be able to help other people moving forward. I think we've sort of nailed everything regarding empathy. Is there anything you'd like to add as a final parting shot?
Yeah, just don't be scared to express true empathy. And I'd suggest before you actually go and express empathy towards other people, check in with yourself. Make sure you've felt that before. Because if you haven't felt what you're seeing on that other person, it's always going to feel fake. It's going to feel sympathy. It has to be what you have felt in your side.
Okay. Beautiful. Beautiful way to wrap up. Thank you, Peter. You take care, stay safe, and I look forward to catching up with you again very soon.
Same to you, Darren, and take care of yourself.
Thanks, Peter. All the very best.